In that time, do you think Japan has changed you?
I'm still quite brash and loud. It depends on what mood I'm in that day. And I'm like, oh, in Japanese it's this, and it's kind of like this. I don't want to hear a half of a conversation. Unless they're fighting with their spouse.
Hey guys and girls on Ash Japanese, it's your flashy fashion reporter, Cathy today at Evo Japan, and I happened to bump into one of my friends who has been here almost as long as I have. So 9 years, and I'm really glad that I got her on camera. She's also cosplaying today and she looks amazing, to talk about what has changed us in those 9 years that we have lived here in Japan. So let's go and ask foreigners in Japan.
So something that's good about Japan is that there are lots of niche hobbies and communities. And I feel like for the most part, people are really live and let live about it. So you can go out wearing Lolita, or you can do your own thing, and people are quite respectful of that. And whereas in Western countries, like if you call Lolita in the street, people will come up to you and say it's not Halloween. Whereas like people here wouldn't do that. And I feel like they're quite respectful that you have your own interests, and as long as you're not harming other people, they give you the space for that.
You're allowed to like keep loving what you love, no matter what age you get. There's a lot of like grown-up ladies with kids who still love Disney for themselves, not for their kids, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of my cosplay friends here, some of them are well into their 40s. But everyone's kind of like, you know, if you love the character, just keep cosplaying. There's no kind of age judgment or anything like that.
Anything that's not so great about Japan?
So kind of in line with what I was saying earlier, it can be a double-edged sword where people are almost apathetic. And, you know, it's great if you're doing what you want to do, but, you know, you do hear stories about, you know, someone being on the train and travel and no one helps them. And, you know, you do kind of see it sometimes where people don't want to interfere in a situation in which, you know, they maybe should. So I feel that there is a lot of that's not very problem, and kind of passing the buck on responsibilities sometimes as well. But I don't know if that's a Japan thing or a Tokyo being a big city thing.
So the live and let live on Tokyo, that you just ignore other people, the downside of it is that sometimes you might actually, someone needs help.
Yeah.
You might go like, probably not my business, kind of.
Yeah, so that sometimes happens.
Culture shock.
I remember the first time I saw like small children on the train by themselves, like getting themselves to school. For me, that was quite shocking, because I come from a country where, you know, your parents or somebody responsible takes you to school. The idea of you being like a primary school, taking yourself to school was super alien to me. So when I saw these like small children on the train by themselves, I was like, where are their parents? So I'm quite used to that now. The other thing as well, like being from a country where, you know, you don't eat raw chicken, the fact that raw chicken is served in restaurants here, I feel like I'm pretty not fussy about food and quite open-minded. I tried it once and just, yeah, it's gross.
You try it once and then afterwards you're like, am I going to be fine tomorrow? You will be fine tomorrow, but that kind of feeling stays.
Because I think I saw a Twitter thread about this recently, and even Japanese people in the comments were like, you know, people sometimes do get sick from eating something sashimi just because it's raw chicken.
How long have you been here in total?
Around 9 to 10 years.
They say that culture after a while kind of rubs off on you. So has Japan changed you in those 9 years?
I'm honestly not sure. So I feel like I'm still me. I'm still quite brash and loud and, you know, like a foreigner, but sometimes when I go back home, people tell me that I've become a little bit more conservative, and a lot of my co-workers as well, like, sometimes they're like, oh, you just sound exactly like a Japanese person. So I don't know if I have learned to adapt to certain situations. But, interestingly enough, and I did this recently, so I took the 16 personalities test in both Japanese and English, because I heard that if you're bilingual, if you take the test in the other language, sometimes it comes out that you have a different personality, and I came up with exactly the same result.
What is the 16 test?
It's like the Myers-Briggs, like you get the full letter personality result out of it, but it gives you like a fun little character digest of what your personality is. But I got exactly the same result in both languages. Guess it hasn't changed me that much.
Oh, okay. Was there like anything where you like, when you went back home, you're like, oh yeah, that's not here? Like, for example, I noticed that I go, or I go, like I want to go, or but I'm like, I have to stop myself.
I do that, and because I work a lot in Japanese, I feel like I'm starting to forget English. So I'll be like, that word, that thing, and I have to describe it to somebody, and they'll be like, you mean this really basic word? I'm like, yes, that. And that still happens when I'm talking with my family, and I'm like, oh, in Japanese it's this, and it's kind of like this, and they're like, okay. You do pick up little habits linguistically. It's the same as when you're hanging out with any group of people, you pick up a vernacular, and kind of discarding that vernacular when you're in a different context sometimes takes a bit of time.
So you kind of like, once you're in Japan, it's all there, but the switch over takes you some time as well.
Yeah, I'd say so, probably.
Yeah. So for me, like I keep forgetting German, which is not good, but I'll try. I try. So like, is there anything else where you think, oh, when you go home, I wouldn't have done that a couple of years ago, but now I do that. When I go back, I have some of the habits. I still keep the like looking out for everyone, making sure everyone's okay. That kind of, I didn't do that before. I was just like, everyone can look after themselves. But now I have to kind of like looking out for everyone, make sure everyone's kind of doing all right. I do that when I go back now. I catch myself out on doing that a bit more.
For me, speaking on the phone on the train is just like the height of just crudeness.
Yeah.
Like when you're on the train back in Europe and people are on the phone, I'm like, why are you like disturbing everybody? It's so annoying. I don't want to hear a half of a conversation. Unless they're fighting with their spouse, in which case it's like entertainment for your journey. But generally, I really don't like hearing other people on the phone. And because people talk so quietly in the trains here as well, that's also become a habit for me. Just kind of being aware of your environment and your spatial awareness and trying not to disturb other people is definitely something that I think I've picked up on.
Yeah, I have that too. When I was in the train in Germany, I was like, everyone is so loud.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so loud?
Yeah, and when I went back for the first time after Corona, everyone here was still wearing masks. And being on the train, and there was maybe like me and two other people wearing masks, and it was at a point where if you caught Corona, you couldn't fly back into Japan if you failed the PCR test. So the whole trip, I was like, I need to wear a mask. I went to like a punk live show, and I was the only person wearing a mask in the audience.
Was it at least a black mask then?
Oh yeah, it became a thing that if you were wearing a mask, it meant that you either were like a paranoid freak or you already have the virus.
Stigma there.
Yeah. So people would like side-eye you and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not sick, I just don't want to become sick. Yeah, so that was a bit of a shock in some ways, like seeing everybody maskless suddenly.
Yeah, there's a lot of reverse culture shocks. So how have 9 years in Japan changed me? I would probably need a longer video to explain all of it, but definitely one thing is I think more about other people. I think more on the train. Am I in someone's way? I think more like in a business environment. Am I like being too loud? Or generally, I think of people going like, hey, is she maybe thirsty? Is she maybe hungry? Like if you're in your circle of friends or even at work, you think, oh, is everyone doing okay? Like that kind of thinking. You do that in the West, but I think you do that more in Japan, where you're like, you try and think what the other person is thinking so you can maybe react to that. Sometimes it feels a little bit like you have to do mind reading, and that one's a bit too far. Especially girls sometimes take it a step too far, thinking, well, I was thinking that you were thinking this, so I acted like this. It gets a bit too complicated. But I think the thought of looking out for the harmony in your circle, may it be at work or with your friends, is actually a really good thing. I would love to continue this conversation and maybe invite in some other foreigners who have been here for 9 years or more for the discussion. But check out this video here for more input that we have some from people who have been living here for a while. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you soon on Japanese.